Welcome to Never Too Late for Fitness Radio, bringing baby boomers proven strategies and innovative products for getting fit, staying fit, so you can live a longer, healthier, and happier life. Here's your host, best-selling author and fitness advocate, Phil Ferris.
This is Phil Ferris, and welcome to the show. Never Too Late for Fitness Radio provides strategy for people over 50 to live longer, healthier, and happier lives. In today's show, you're going to learn how yoga can help people over 50 to get stronger, to improve their balance, move better, and lose weight. You'll also learn how to determine if yoga should be a part of your fitness program. And finally, how to determine and select the yoga program that works for you. My guest today is Kandy Gore, a yoga and Pilates instructor at Equilibrium Personal Training Studio in Barrington, Illinois. Kandy says being a student of yoga allowed her to experience a healing journey that began with a sports injury. Seeking a solution for her reconstructed knee and low back pain, the continual practice cultivated muscular balance and flexibility that sustains her pain-free lifestyle. As a teacher, she inspires practitioners to find the confidence and the courage to let go of their busy days and busy lives and to heal through the essence of yoga. Yoga is a peaceful journey that accepts you as you are while opening the body emotionally and physically to its unlimited potential. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Kandy.
Thank you, Phil, for having me. I'm excited.
To begin with, can you just talk a little bit about your fitness career and how you got into yoga?
Certainly. My fitness career started probably about in college sometime when I started teaching aerobics and personal training. And through the years, as I've aged, I'm currently 58 years old. I'm still in fitness, and it's evolved more to training and then yoga. So yoga was an answer to my prayers because I had an ACL injury that didn't allow me to do any of the typical lifting. And I was into running at the time because I was feeling worse. And I just knew at that age bracket, and there was something I was doing, thinking I was doing myself a favor, and found out that I actually wasn't. And so when I went into yoga, I was able to feel good in my body. And I knew at that point, as much as I loved fitness, that it was just a much bigger and broader range of different things I could do to feel good. So then I went into yoga school and I began teaching yoga to people similar to me, or maybe they even had other reasons for wanting to do yoga. I just realized the physical benefits were so heartfelt that I wanted to be able to provide it for others. And then from yoga, I went into Thai massage, which is basically a different type of massage. People that aren't familiar with it, it's like lazy man's yoga. It's fun. You just lay there and do nothing. And I twist and stretch people into positions that are great for their body that they wouldn't normally be able to get into on their own. So that's a little bit about my story. Overcoming ailments that I had in my body that I know that clients also have.
That's great. Now, you work at Equilibrium Personal Training in Barrington, Illinois.
Yes.
Can you describe a little bit about what that gym is like and the types of clients that you work with there?
Typically, our clients are over 50 years old. For the most part. Our gym is very personalized. It's a private fitness center that we work one-on-one with different clients, and we do a full assessment of their goals, what their needs are, and how we can help them. So Equilibrium, we each work individually with different clients, each trainer. I typically do training with weights as well, but then I specialize in the yoga and the Thai massage. I'm the only personal trainer here that does that. So it's just part of a big circle of fitness that's in my repertoire, if you will. And that is where I'm able to help most of my clients that are over 50. It's usually because of tightness. As the aging process happens, we lose balance, and that stretching becomes so important so that they basically reduce that risk of injury.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the specific issues? You mentioned balance and stretching, but when they come to you, what types of goals are they looking to accomplish? What types of issues do they have? Because they may not come in and say, I want yoga, I want Pilates, they usually have some other kind of physical ailment or physical objective that they want to accomplish. What are some of those things that you experience when they come in at the beginning?
Most of my clients come in specifically for weight loss, balance issues, and strength issues. So we complete a system for them that will have a little bit of strength training in it in order to keep people's bones sturdier and stronger so that the muscle grows. And then the biggest one that I find that is so helpful is for our clients to understand that balance, we have to keep putting deposits into it because the aging process is taking it out. So it's no fault of your own, but it is imperative that we put that into their system in some way so that they can reduce their injury and stay more balanced, because there will be times when life becomes out of balance or something that they're doing. So we're very posture aligned. We are very focused on form, and over time we get great results so that people become more confident. They increase their span of knowledge. And most importantly, they believe back in themselves of what they could do.
All right. Now, let me have you zero in a little bit about the clients that's over 50. What are some of the specific issues that makes them unique, different from, let's say, the 20 and 30-year-olds that are coming in? And what are the things you have to be aware of in order to provide the best experience for them?
Two things. One, most of my clients over 50 realize that they are no longer 20 and 30, and they've accepted the fact that they aren't going to be the athlete they either once were, or maybe they were never an athlete. They just want to be healthy for this second stage of life. And that becomes great because they increase their possibilities and they're open to different ideas about how we're going to make that happen. One of the misconceptions is that they think it's not possible. So
what do you
my
mean?
job.
What do you mean they don't think it's possible?
Well, for instance, they may think that it's not possible for them to become strong or become, they're overwhelmed with maybe being overweight, or their balance is off, or they're not moving the way that they want to. And it's basically an emotional pattern and a thought pattern that sometimes I need to help break them off. And that becomes sometimes my very first step, because they don't have a lot of confidence, because for a while now they've been stuck in this situation of, it's been the same, overweight, or inflexible, or I lost my balance, my strength is off, and they're starting to become doubtful. And we can, so over time, the doubt starts to go away because they become better and better each day at their own goal. Part of it is learning for them I have to break a belief cycle that is what's going on, and inspire them with new possibilities. And that is helpful.
Kandy, could you give us perhaps an example of how you break a belief cycle? Because that is very, 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 very powerful if you can do that, because it does present it gives put them on a new path. So if you can, kind of give listeners an idea of what that might look like or feel like or experience.
Well, for instance, a belief cycle, somebody might say to me that, I'm not strong. And it might be true that they're not strong in the idea of where they want to be. But what they don't realize is they're strong in where they are. And that's where I have to design the system. Like wherever you are in that moment, this day is our starting point. And you wouldn't have been able to walk in here if you didn't have some kind of strength. And sometimes that doesn't feel like something to be grateful for when somebody's walking in, because they know their end goal is way over on the right. So they don't give themselves any credit for what they already have. So of course, there's some obstacles and some things that we are going to find solutions to. However, to break that belief cycle is hard. And sometimes just allowing someone to realize, if you're standing right here talking to me, or even made this first interaction or appointment, you already have some core strength, because otherwise you wouldn't even have been able to get up and get here. So we'll start with that core strength that you have, and we're going to build on it. And then from that building on, you will now end up in a situation where you are stronger than you once were. Or when my clients come in and they tend to be my age-ish, 58, which is what I am, they feel like they're comparing themselves to either what they used to be or what they want to be. And we need to meet them right where they are so that they will break the belief cycle that they're not good enough or that they can't do it.
Okay, so I come in and I have a perception of where I am, and I'm not satisfied with it because I'm comparing myself either to something totally unrealistic. In our 20s and 30s, it was all the magazines that were photoshopped with women in bikinis, yes, and guys with the six-pack abs, and
right.
So, or we're comparing to say, well, I used to be able to, and then how long ago was that? Well, 40 years, and
right.
So it's unrealistic but what it sounds like what you're doing is you give them you may not be where you want, but just look how much stronger you are than this. And you can give them a relative understanding of, you do have some strength relative to some other person or other aspect. And then you can say, well, our goal is to get you to the next level. And I got to make you sure, once you start seeing progress towards moving towards where you want, then you start saying, well, maybe I can do this. And then as they start seeing what they can do, they do more. And the more they do, the more confidence they get, which means they'll try more. And then that it allows them to get greater progress. So it's incremental gains, starting with the reality of where they are now. What are some things you do to get people to recognize and ground in reality where they are now without shattering them or making them discouraged?
Well, first of all, we do a quick little assessment. So if I have a client, which I have had and do have, maybe their balance isn't so good and their strength isn't so good. They might possibly be in their mid 60s to 70s. And although they're walking and, getting around, getting up seems to be a problem. So going down and then getting up can be a problem. And when I see this going on, we will begin getting down at really slow stages and strengthening those muscles, and which they thought wasn't possible. And we do it a little bit at a time. So even if I have somebody coming in, and it's scary, so I need to design something that isn't going to make them afraid, but it's going to motivate them. So if you can't get down today, you will get down a little bit more and more over time. And in 6 months to 8 months, I've had people be able to basically get down and get themselves back up without using their hands. So for some folks, that's a big deal, because if you're in the second phase of life and you want to get down on the floor and play with grandkids, or God forbid you fall down, you want to be able to get up. And oftentimes, so that's the game maybe we're playing in this stage of life versus trying to be the fastest and most competitive and win a game. I want my clients to be able to enjoy the quality of the life that they're living in the best health that we can get them to do by them doing our systems or what we're recommending for them, where they now believe and that they can do it, and they get so excited. Like I've had a client, when she first came in, we tried a plank and we went to time it, and it was, I couldn't time it. And so her sister-in-law said, well, how long was your plank? She goes, a moment. And then yesterday she timed herself, and she's been here now for about 11 months, and she was at 1 minute and 37 seconds. So, and that's just from us doing a little bit every single day. And when we did that stopwatch the very first time, I didn't even click it on and off before she could do it. And so now she can get up and down. She can, no matter how low a chair is, she can get up, get down. And she's thrilled. She's thrilled with being able to do these things on her own. And that to me is why I like what I do. And that's our kind of fitness.
No, that's I call that winning the game of life.
It is.
And it's not about, oh, look, I can do a 1 minute plank or a 2 minute plank or whatever. It's that the fact that she can do that allows her to do so many other things around because of her core strength that she couldn't do. Just the measurable evidence was the plank. And that's, if I can do that, I can do anything.
Right, because now it reduces her risk. She can pull herself up from that strength. She can get up from that strength. She can bring her groceries into the car. She can bend down. She can lift up. And these are the types of things that it is winning. It might not be a sport that we used to play, but we're playing a different sport now.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, my objective is how do I stay active enough that I can still play basketball and soccer and football and lacrosse with my grandkids? And, I need to be around for another 20 years to do that. So I have to commit to a regimen that will just keep me fit enough to do the things that they like to do, because then I get the joy of doing it with them.
Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to yoga, it comes with some baggage. It's kind of there's a lot of misconceptions about what yoga really is, who it's for, what it can do for you. What are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about yoga, and how do you help people understand?
That's a big one, and it's a great question. First of all, the biggest misconception is yoga is a religion, and if you are of a certain religious belief, you don't want to touch yoga because that could be awful. And I certainly respect that understanding, because it is an interesting type of exercise, if you will. It is influenced from, the certainly thousands of years ago from the Eastern perspective, and it's got a Buddhist philosophy behind it. So with that being said, that is true, and it is like that. And you will find that there's yogis that love that traditional type of thinking, and the words around it will have much of a different feel to it. And that feel is really comfortable for some people, and it's the exact same feeling that other people do not want. So I tried to, when I went to yoga school, I don't mind the history behind it. And although I'm not Buddhist and I'm not from the East, I just grew up in Illinois and went to a non-denominational church. So it was important to me to understand that was a really big hurdle to get over for people. So I took the anatomy side of it, and I just decided, and I started thinking, like, all of our bodies are the same. It doesn't really matter which church you go to or what type of belief system that you have in religion or other things. Yoga is basically anatomy and muscles pulling away from bones and stretching. And you probably have been taught yoga poses from different coaches you might have had in your youth, or if you ever got hurt and went to the back doctor, he's definitely giving you yoga poses and stretches to go home with on a little sheet. They just have a different name to them. So I teach yoga from an anatomy perspective, because I think we have that all in common. And when I have taught in the past with group classes, I'm certainly respectful of other people's belief systems. So I don't really teach it from that perspective. However, there's a breathing component with yoga that just happens to make people feel calming, which is why oftentimes yoga is a benefit or referred to for people that are anxious or upset. So when you take the breathing component with it and you just lay on the floor and I teach you different postures to do with the breath, just because you're human, it is automatically going to affect your nervous system and allow you to feel a little bit more calm. Not talking like 100%, but even if it was just 10%, I would take that as a success. And over time, doing these yoga postures will keep you flexible enough to overcome all daily activities that you do. So to me, yoga is the holy grail. And you don't have to be great at it. You do not have to be flexible. In fact, those are the people that should be doing it. That is a huge misconception that probably the second one, that it's a religion. And then the second biggest misconception is, but I'm not flexible, so I shouldn't do yoga. I can't do it. And I'm like, no, you can do it. And oftentimes what people don't realize is yoga poses start from something so basic that then they keep adding on. And then it becomes that contortionistic pose you see on Yoga Journal that nobody can do. But if you pull out all the parts, there's a part of it you can do. And that's what I tell people. And basically, if you can breathe, you can do yoga. It's that simple.
So how would someone know if they're a good candidate for yoga?
Well, that's an interesting question. Some good candidates for yoga have a natural like for it because of the way it feels in their body, much like somebody likes music or they want to play a certain instrument. They might just have this natural talent for it. Those people are easy because their body has kind of already has, I'll say, they're just genetically predispositioned to move like that, whether it's in any sport. There's just some natural, I'll call it talent, if you will, or something that you don't try really hard. Your body just flows that way, whether it could be anything. It could be in the sciences, in the musics, in the sports, and yoga can kind of be like that as well. So those people are easy because they gravitate to it because they're good at it and they like it. It's the people that aren't good at it and by being good at it, it's uncomfortable and it's like it hurts and they think that, it's hard. And I like to play with those people most because when they see how they feel after the postures that they've done that don't look like any cover of any magazine and that just looks like a stiff old guy or old woman in the laying on the mat, it might not look so pretty or it might not look perfect. But what I know is that after they're doing it, they are going to feel better. So when I get that man that tells me, man, my golf game's really gotten better. Okay, his yoga poses really don't look anything over the top great, but they're coming and they're doing those deposits on a, biweekly. And when they do that, it's like a 401k. It might not look much at first, but over time, it just keeps growing. And even if you don't look like the natural, the benefits that you get is why now they will stay with the yoga. And that's the majority of my clients. They're more my age. Some of them can do some hard things. The majority of them cannot, and nor is it necessary.
Okay, so you don't have to do the fully elaborate things that my daughter can do, who's been doing yoga for 15 years. And, I can't do those things, but the basic poses, I get benefit from that.
Absolutely. And if you stuck with basic poses for the rest of your life, you would have a healthy life.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of people that know they probably should be taking a yoga class or Pilates class.
Yes.
But they hesitate. They just can't get themselves to give it a try. What makes them hesitate? How do you help them overcome that initial hesitation?
I just call it out. It's weird. People like, it is, it's weird. And it's like, it's nothing like any other class that they've attended at an institution, whether it's a club or something. And I believe that intimidates them. So, or maybe they don't like the notion that they think it is. And oftentimes I think all of that is relevant and all of it can be true. And maybe somebody's been really weirded out with the look of some yogi or the judgment that they might have about it. And it's all fair game, because as much as that is true, it doesn't mean it's all like that. And there's a space for everyone in all of that. And I personally think that it's my job as a teacher to incorporate a space that makes it relevant and comfortable for everybody. So you can have fun with it. You can tip over. It doesn't need to be perfect. I just want people to know that it's the benefit of why you're moving like that is the reason you're coming.
Okay, so ultimately it really comes down to the way you move and probably the way you feel in your body when you move. That should be the driving force. Should be the driving force as to whether yoga, is going to be an answer for you.
Yes, and in theory, if you do a yoga class, it's going to open up your hips, it's going to open up your spine, it's going to open up your shoulders and release tension in your neck. All of that is the complaint that I get from everybody always, because either they've been dealing with it for so long, it's now a chronic issue. And it all comes down to a tightness and a lack of stretching and a lack of space in those areas of their body. So as much as you want to say yoga's weird, it is weird, but it's also a fun weird. And at the end of the weird, you get better and you start to feel better. And even if your posture doesn't look that much different, you just depositing time and effort into it frees up a shoulder, or all of a sudden your back just wasn't as stiff. And next thing you know, you're like, I'm not even thinking about it anymore. So therefore, you can start to demystify your own judgment about yoga, that because it's effective and it started working. And then you become like a believer of it. And it includes that person. And then it includes like maybe the people that you would think like, wow, I'd feel really odd in that company. I've been to yoga studios and it can, the incense is going and the Buddha is there. And I'm not offended by it because I know that is the terrain of they recognize the history of it and that's the approach that they want. But that doesn't mean everybody else is. So those people with the misconceptions, I think that they have a right to understandably, and it makes perfect sense. If you're not used to something, it is weird. But once you get used to it, it's no longer weird. And when you feel better doing it, all of a sudden you don't care if it's weird.
Right. I get the benefits. I'm paying free, especially now. And so many people are spending so much more time in front of the computer. They're less active. I know this is I do half the amount of steps I did before. And because I don't have the normal just getting up and moving around that I did before. So I have to consciously do something to make up for that because just because of the times we're living in. So now, if someone's on the fence about giving yoga a try, and let's say they're not in the Barrington area where they could come talk to you, but what advice would you give them about moving forward with yoga?
My advice for people that have never tried it is to basically have an open mind and think about the location that they want to practice in, because there is an energy or a vibe in the location. So oftentimes, if you're going to go to a yoga studio that does only yoga, you are going to probably be entering into somebody that has great yoga postures and a great teaching class and a well-taught class, and you will certainly learn from that. However, if you already know you're the type that doesn't want to go into the history of that and the chanting and the different language that's in there because that's uncomfortable for you, there's nothing wrong with you. That's just the wrong location for you. So my recommendation is to go where a fitness center or a health club offers yoga, and you will get a variation that might be more accessible for you to step into a new situation and just feel comfortable. And then from there, you will also get a well-taught class. And it may be the energy and the emotional attachment you would have with those two different locations. Go with the one that's most comfortable first. Always start out with a beginning class, because the beginner yoga is so effective and reasonably available for most people that you will get success. You won't be over frustrated. And at the end of that hour, you will walk away happy that you did, even if it's just for the fact that you now have a valid opinion because you personally experienced it. From there, you can decide if that class was either too hard or you would like to take it further. And then at least it gives you a space to make a wise decision from, because basic yoga can be very difficult for some clientele, which is why I teach different levels. There's chair yoga, there's different types of yoga that you can do. And that's where the Thai massage yoga comes in. So for people that have never done it, start somewhere and local and decide between the two types of experience energetically that you would want. Go to the most comfortable and start basic.
So the big thing is, if the best way to understand yoga is actually experience yoga, go to a class, and before you lock into any type of commitment or anything like that, make sure you feel comfortable with it. And that's part of the vibe that's in the studio. It's also the instructor. And I've been to, not that I'm a great, have lots and lots of experience with yoga, but I've worked with many different instructors, and some were great, making me feel very comfortable. And others intimidated me because I couldn't do it as well as the other people. And, keep up. And I said, I don't want to compete.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
No.
there is different, just like in a boot camp or a personal trainer. I always say, try it out. What does your gut tell you? And if your gut says, don't do it. There's plenty of other out there that are qualified, and find the one that's right for you, because the benefits will be there.
Absolutely. And a highly qualified teacher will always have a modification, because there are not two people in a class. And the other thing to remember and be humble about is, I might be able to do it today, and maybe tonight something happens and I sleep crooked on my pillow and I can't even teach my own class tomorrow because real life happened to me, and that happens to everybody. So there is always a modification for everyone. And a good yoga teacher knows that. So there shouldn't ever feel like, unless you walked into the wrong class.
Right. Now, Kandy, everyone's concerned about COVID-19 especially when they're going, out to a gym to work out or take a class. So what are you and Equilibrium doing to ensure your clients' safety?
We're fortunate here that we are a small private gym. So with that being said, we can social distance. We never have more than each client with each trainer. We can mask up, and our clients mask up. And we also, every time they use the equipment, we are wiping it down. And then another set of client trainer is somewhere else in the gym. And we are able to social distance, if you will, to the best that we can, where there's never too many people all congregated at once. And all of our facility is wiped down after each person has used it. So that is the way that we are doing our part. Same with the yoga room. Everything gets cleaned every day. The mats get cleaned. Any blankets or any things that we have, we wipe it down all of the time. We are very I would say respectful of people's views in regards to the masks. Some people don't want to work out with a mask, so we can also separate them. We can wear masks if our clients are in a situation where they're either personal or their job requires them to have masks on. So because we're a private fitness, we are able to, do all of those different requests here because we're not mandated in, specifically by a big organization that we do it a certain way. We take it upon ourselves to keep it as extremely clean as possible and accommodate our clients. Okay. And so far, knock on wood, we've been successful.
Well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, if people wanted to get more information about you and Equilibrium, where would they go?
We have a website. I think if you just Google it and put in Equilibrium Fitness, it's going to pop right up to the top of the page, and you can, access it that way. There's also, I've got business cards. I'm trying to think the phone number. It's just, I guess I'm so used to looking at everything on a phone. It's like you just click it in and there it is. So there's addresses, phone numbers, and then right away you'll have access to us.
Yeah, so you can get it on, Google it. You can also look for them on Facebook. They got a very good Facebook page.
Absolutely. We have a great social media.
And so if you're in the Barrington area, you're located on Northwest Highway, and what's the other street?
Eastern.
Okay. So there you go. So Kandy, I want to thank you so much for taking time and to share your knowledge and your passion and the joy you get from doing what you do. So thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Phil. I really enjoyed doing this podcast. Great.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Never Too Late for Fitness Radio, hosted by Phil Ferris. To learn more about the guests or resources on our show today, or to listen to past episodes, go to nevertoolateforfitness.com.